Live sport. Let's switch from netball to F1. George Russell Williams driver joins us. Afternoon, George.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. F1 presenter for 5 Live, Jenny Gow, with us as well. Afternoon, Jenny.
Good afternoon. Hi, George.
Hi, Jenny.
George, let's deal with the big question that lots of people want answering at the moment as regards you. Quite a serious one. Do you own a T-shirt?
Do I own a T-shirt? Oh, here we go. So this has become a little bit of a thing of me and being topless. I don't know where it really started, but the fans seem to like it, so we got to keep going with it, you know. And the weather's been great, so in the garden, you know, it's got to be done.
Yes, there's a lot of intense training videos with you topless on your Instagram as well. I was talking to Geraint Thomas earlier, and he was talking about if he had to pick one sport that he'd fancy trying his hand at against other people, professionals in that sport, it would be F1. And actually, and this isn't a setup, but this has actually been happening over recent weeks.
Well, yeah, it has been. You know, we've been doing it virtually. We've got a couple of sort of home simulators on the Formula One games. You know, we had Ben Stokes in the last race. We've been driving with Courtois, the goalkeeper, recently. So, you know, he needs to get involved and see what he's made of.
Yeah, well, I said I would pass it on to you, and then after that, I'm not quite sure because I don't really have the power to get Geraint Thomas a virtual F1 racing kit. But maybe somebody listening can sort that out. Maybe
if he's interested, I can put a word in it and see what happens. We can maybe do a competition. I jump on Zwift and he jumps on the sim and do a bit of see who's furthest off the pace. But it'll probably be me. I'm not the best on the bike. But
on the virtual racing, is there? I mean, I know Ben Stokes, for example, you mentioned Courtois. Ben Stokes did it last week, and he did finish last. But is there added pressure for the professionals in this when there are some amateurs involved as well?
To be honest, it was all meant to be a bit of fun and a bit of a jolly, and next thing I know, everybody's been practicing 24/7. Even Ben Stokes, I learned, had been on the sim, you know, a couple of hours every day leading up to the event. So I was like, blimey, I'm going to have to start putting a bit of effort in here. But to be honest, the level of it's really high now. The last race, there were 6 F1 drivers. There's more coming in at the moment, and you know, there's no additional pressure with obviously the outsiders, as obviously. This is what we do. So I got to give the credit to Ben. He actually performed really well. He may have finished last, but his times were really strong. And for someone who's got no racing experience, it was pretty impressive.
So for you, if I take you back to your start and your beginning, after how long did you feel comfortable in an F1 car after you first sat in one and drove one?
Obviously I've been driving a race car all of my life, so jumping into a Formula One car, even though it was a big step up, it was still relatively natural for me because it's still a racing car, albeit a very fast racing car. But I can imagine for somebody who's had no racing experience, obviously doing it on a game is very, very different to reality because, you know, there's no fear involved. On the racing game, you can go around the corner flat out, have a crash and press the restart button and away you go again. But in reality, there's slightly different consequences. So that's the biggest limitation. But, you know, it's all
so as soon as you sat in an F1 car, it felt no different to what you'd been racing previously.
No, it was incredibly fast. It was honestly mind blowing. I think the first time I drove I jumped from a Formula 3 car to an F1 car, and it was like my mind couldn't keep up with the speed. Was the initial feeling, you know, the braking we're going into a corner at 200 miles an hour, and you're braking 100 meters before the corner, which was just absolutely bonkers. And you know, my eyes couldn't keep up. Actually, after my first ever day in an F1 car, my eyes were fully bloodshot, and I think that was just from the forces. And that happened for the first 3 days I ever did. At the end of the day, and my eyes were just fully bloodshot. So it's just incredible. Like, I think your body takes time to get used to those forces, and you know, I'm fully used to it now. But you know, it was it was mind blowing.
So the first time, I'll bring Jenny in a minute. That first time you hit 200 miles an hour, I mean, if you were on, I'm assuming you're on radio at that stage, are you? And and therefore everybody can hear you. And I don't really want to know what you're saying at 1:15 on a Saturday afternoon.
No,
but it'd be like what some people say if they're on a roller coaster.
Absolutely, I think that's the best way to describe it. You're, on the fastest roller coaster in the world, but you're in control of it, and you could easily be spat off into the gravel trap or into a wall if you make a mistake, if you downshift too quickly, if you brake too late, if you try taking that corner flat out when you need to be lifting through the corner. Even though the cars are incredibly safe, especially when you jump in for the first time, you feel quite exposed when you're going that speed, and you think, blimey, if I make a mistake here and I end up in that wall at this speed, it might be in a bit of trouble here. So, no, like I say, driving a roller coaster is probably the best way to describe it.
Jenny.
Yes, George. Hello. I just wonder, you talk about the danger of driving and that kind of instinct that you have to have. How much are you really missing it? Because you can't, as you say, you can't replicate that adrenaline rush on a sim.
No, absolutely. Incredibly missing it, to be honest. It's, for us, there's no feeling like it. It's different to, a tennis player or a footballer or, somebody who can easily access their sport in the garden or whatever it may be. But for us, you need a team of 50 people just to run the car. So we can't drive at the moment, and it's difficult. We have to find ways to stay sharp. I'm training every day, doing sort of cognitive exercises to try and keep my mind sharp. Because when we do go back, I would have only done 4 days of testing in the space of about 7 or 8 months. Obviously, we don't know when we're going back yet, but at least. So, we're going to all be pretty rusty on those opening laps. So, if I can find a way to, stay sharp and hopefully you'll be in a better condition than my competitors. But like you say, it's tricky for all of us.
How much do you as drivers all talk? I know that you're on, Twitch and you're speaking to the guys when you're doing your sim sessions. You and Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc from Ferrari are all chatting away. But there's a drivers' WhatsApp group, I'm assuming. Are you in contact and chatting between yourselves as, 20 drivers?
No, not between 20 of us. I mean, well, for example, me and Alex Albon, he's one of my best mates. So I talk to him every day. But then we are in a WhatsApp group. We've got Charles, Alex, Lando, Giovinazzi, Latifi are involved. This is mainly regarding the sim stuff and the bits and bobs we're doing on Twitch. So we're going live tonight, racing all together, raising money for charity. So that'll be fun, and it's nice, just having this here, and it's like I said, it is all a bit of fun and games, and usually we're all uber competitive. So now it's all a bit more relaxed. We are probably growing sort of closer together, which we never really would have had the opportunity to do ordinarily.
Yeah, that's nice at least. I mean, you've all been competing against each other for years. You started in karting when you were 8, so this must be the most amount of time you've had off. But do you worry that the season might not start at all? Do you worry at all that you might not get back in a Williams F1 car?
To be honest, I'm not really thinking about it. I mean, everybody in the world is in this situation together, and at the end of the day, Formula One is not the most important thing at all for all of us, and even for myself and my family, the most important thing at the moment is staying safe, staying isolated, staying at home. And in all honesty, that's our main focus at the moment. What comes after that, who knows? So, but obviously, I want to get back racing, but I also appreciate there's a much larger issue at hand than what we have.
Sure. Are you and your family all together, or are you in separate houses, flats, whatever, or are you all under one roof?
So I'm here with my sister, her husband, my mum and dad, and actually my trainer. So my trainer is from Barcelona. He usually travels around the world with me. He lived in Oxford and on his own, as his parents are back in Spain and they're on a massive lockdown there. He didn't really have a choice to go home, so I offered him to come here, and he's been with me ever since Australia. So that's sort of our little family here at the moment. I've got my brother who lives with his girlfriend and his 2 kids, who are also isolating themselves up north where he lives. So it's nice, to be honest, to spend some quality time with the family, something I've not really been able to do much of in the last 2 years. Really been so focused on my career, so focused or so busy traveling the world, racing Formula One. It's brought us all together, and it's been nice. But obviously we'll see in a couple of months' time where we might be driving each other crazy by that point. Who knows?
Is your trainer okay? It must be very difficult for your trainer at the moment.
He's all good. We've got a very close relationship. This is our 4th year working together. I spent more days with him than my girlfriend last year, to put it in perspective of how much I would put our relationship into perspective. So, he's a very close family friend to all of us. And, it's obviously a bit of a strange situation. But he's, fully in the gist of things in the Russell household now, so we're all having fun.
Do you talk to your family about what it's like to watch you race an F1 car?
I haven't recently. We've had the conversations a few times in the past. It was actually, the conversation came up when I was sat next to Alex Albon's mum during a kart race about 10 years ago. I'd never spoken to his mum before.
Right.
And next thing, she just grabbed onto me because he went for a late overtaken opportunity, and she was, jumping up and down and, incredibly nervous. I just said to my mum, are you like this as well when I'm driving? She's like, yeah, I can't watch sometimes. So, but I actually know the feeling. It's strange. I've often watched some other races when my friends have been competing, and I've been more nervous watching the race of my friends than when I'm racing myself. It's because I'm not in control. When I'm in control of racing, it's what I do, and I feel comfortable. But I guess when you're watching somebody you're supporting, or a member of your family, there's nothing you can do from the sidelines. So it's incredibly anxious.
No, but with the it's just with the added danger as well, really, George, without, going over the top on it. As a parent, you watch your kid do football or cricket or netball, as we've been talking about. That's one thing. I mean, there are dangers with every sport, but, it's a bit like when I spoke to AP McCoy about, if you watch your kid as a jockey or as an F1 driver, then all of a sudden that takes the nerves and the worry maybe to a different level.
Yeah, definitely. I think, my parents follow me around the world, and I think, a big part of that, obviously because they're supporting me, but if anything were to go wrong, they'd want to be there. It's obviously a dangerous sport. Everybody knows the risks involved. It's probably as safe as it possibly can be at the moment, but when you're driving at these speeds and you do have a big crash, there's only so much the body can take. But I don't really know, to be honest. I think they know I'm doing what I love. And you try not to think about it, I guess. I think, yeah. I don't know if I'm going to ask them now. I don't want them to worry, but they've had 15 years of experience of it now, so I think they're relatively used to it.
Yeah.
George, you travelled around the country with your dad when you first started karting, didn't you? I suppose this is reminiscent of spending so much time with family again, only in slightly nicer surroundings. But, Lewis Hamilton talks a lot about the times that he spent with his dad, Anthony, in the back of a van eating noodles. Were there tough times on your way to where you are now, on the way to being an F1 driver? Absolutely. I think there's no easy road to success, let's say. Obviously, my success is reaching Formula One. I do want to go on to bigger and greater things, but we were on the road every weekend, going to different races, and when things weren't
going right. It was very difficult for all of us, and my parents had invested their time, effort, money into supporting me go racing, and obviously they want to see me do well. And when you didn't, it was difficult for all, and fallouts along the way, and it definitely probably made our relationship stronger as we grew older. But like I said, a lot of hard work from all of us, and they were really nice times, to be honest. With my dad mechanicking for me, my mum used to write down all the setups in a little notebook every race, checking what tyre pressures we were doing and what setups we had on the kart. And it was nice. We just had a little camper van, and I just took it for granted at the time, but they were probably much simpler times, and they were great times as a family. And obviously, as I progressed through the ranks and things got more professional, my parents sort of stepped into more of a parent role and just supporting me and allowing me get on with my things. So, yeah, I guess I've probably never spent as much time with my family over the past couple of months as I have since I was a kid.
Well, enjoy that family time. Thank you so much for being part of our Saturday afternoons, George. It's really appreciated. Hope you all stay well and stay safe. And I'll leave you and Geraint to work out who races who on what vehicle.
Absolute pleasure. All the best.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers,
Jenny. Talk to you.